Tired of your old kitchen or bathroom? Upgrade to the home of your dreams with Manny and Courtney from CMK Construction. CMK Construction is Tampa's award-winning kitchen and bath leader for over 20 years. Right now, save $3,000 on a new kitchen and $2,000 on a new bathroom. And take advantage of our no money down and no interest financing until 2026. Imagine, design, build. Tired of your old
from the
kitchen
Tampa
or
Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A. This is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by CMK Construction, crafting Tampa's most exquisite bathrooms and kitchens.
How you doing, everybody? It is a Friday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live. Let me tell you what I'm doing right here. So Monday, I am off for Labor Day. Jason Adams is going to be in for me on DPL, so I just made a 5-minute video showing him how to do all this, because there's a lot of buttons. I mean, I think, you know, it's still trying to send this other one here. Hold on, let me paste this. All right, there we go. WeTransfer was a good thing. So, you know, when you're watching a TV show, normally there's a director who presses all the buttons, and there's a producer who times it all out, and there's a master control operator who presses the commercial breaks. And then you got a floor director who gives you cues, or a teleprompter person that runs the prompter. And then you got the on-air person. So you got all these people, and sometimes you get a producer to book your, you know, the guests and the people that you interview. So you got all these people involved. In this show, you got me. So when things fall, as they frequently do, and as they fall off the tracks, you know why. But we somehow find a way most of the time. You know, Shay Ryan filled in for me yesterday. I did not see the show. I was emceeing the Rose Awards, which they're really great. I love the event. It was for Pinellas County. They actually have one in Hillsborough County, second week in October, I believe, and they asked me to do it. I don't know if I can because I'm off work. It's like these weekday events are tricky because I've got to be on TV, and it's really difficult for me to do events while I'm still working on TV that day. But they're the coolest awards because what they literally are is service workers, you know, waitresses, waiters, cooks, maintenance people, front desk people, mostly in the hotel and restaurant businesses, and they are the folks who take care of us. And they're having a bad day, they've got things going on in their lives, and yet they are still expected to have a smile on their face at all times. And I mean, you know, how many people have gone into restaurants and they have a server that, you know, they think might be in a bad mood or whatever? I mean, they go through the same things that we do, if not worse, and they rarely get the recognition that they so richly deserve. And these awards do just that. It's like a red carpet. It is a red carpet, like the Academy Awards, I describe it as, where you get these nominees, and there were 31 of them, who come in and they walk up on the red carpet and they have a big fancy dinner and a nice reception and everybody gets dressed up. And what happens is the places where they work and their coworkers and whatnot nominate these people, and these nominations are sent to another city. I believe this year it was in Jacksonville. And you get these other groups who don't know these people, and they pick the winners. And so the winners are presented, and they have stories. And every year when I do this, every year, I end up getting teary-eyed or cry because these stories are just so emotional. And many times you've got these workers who are going through extreme life crises or having gone through so many things in their lives, and they find a way through, and they still are motivational, and they're still wonderful coworkers. So anyway, last night, the Rose Awards, that's what they were. It was a designation to honor these folks. And it is just such a great, I mean, I'll give an example. I won't say any names, but one of the winners, you know, she was at work, and she found out that her daughter had passed away while she was at work. And part of the inspirational part of it was how this woman, you know, having gone through the worst thing I would say humanly possible for anyone would be to have your child pass away, and still took so much concern for her coworkers in her job and everything else, not because it was expected of her, it was because she wanted to, because it was such a big thing of her life. So, you know, you get stories like this, and they're gut-wrenching and they're heartbreaking, and yet they're so motivational and so inspirational. So we honored those people this weekend, or yesterday, so that's where I was. And I want to thank Shay again for doing a stellar job. I did not see, but I'm sure it was on DPL. And Jason will be here on Monday. Now, Jason actually did a DPL kind of a thing during hurricane season. He took over for about 3 hours in the middle of the night when we were doing same software, same system, just no commercial breaks and not all the different buttons. But tonight, we do not have broadcast. There's no TV tonight because the WNBA is on, so it's just us, which last week, if you remember, when this was the case, we talked about our favorite candy for 40 minutes. So I'm not exaggerating. It was literally 40 minutes that we started talking about our favorite candy, about what kind of candy you give away for Halloween. If you give away Mary Jane's, I banned you. Tootsie Rolls. You know, I say the kind of candy, if you go to Sam's Club, and by the way, this week, I did the trio. I went to Costco, Sam's, and BJ's. I did all three. We had not been we were members of Costco years ago when they had a Groupon for it, and it was a cheap deal. Because everybody, like, in my opinion, everybody raves about Costco. Like, I see it a lot. My neighbors or my friends, oh, we love Costco. Costco's great. I went to Costco. I didn't know the lay of the land, if you will. So for me, it was a little more challenging. I've been a Sam's Club guy for a long time. I know Sam's. I know where everything is. I go online and order stuff from Sam's all the time where it gets delivered to me. Like all my hot chocolate, like my 50 big things of hot chocolate that we buy for our fundraising in December, our 5,000 cups and lids that we buy, that we get delivered. And so, I mean, I know how that works. So having gone to Costco, it was a little bit of a different experience for me. I can't say that I noticed much difference from Sam's or BJ to Costco's, but that was just me. So anyway, Robert wants to know if there's any development. Robert, you think this is a weather show or something? Come on a Friday night? Come on, Robert. So Debbie's talking about circus peanuts. Yes, and Sean likes hot chocolate because he wants the 540 line. Bridget, I don't think there was anything identical, to quote my cousin Vinny, as we often do. There were very different shopping experiences. And I'm sure a lot of you have your favorites. You know, if you're members, you know, maybe there's some who are favorite of Costco's. I'm looking at the clock thinking we have a commercial break, but there's no commercial break because we're not on TV. So I don't need this button for commercials today. So I don't know. I think, okay, in my opinion, and we're going to get to the tropics. Look, let's be honest. There ain't nothing going on, all right? There's rain this weekend for part of the area. And dare I say, Sunday could be the washout word. I'm not going to give you that word 2 days out, but if there was ever a day this weekend for rain and the washout possibility, it would definitely be on Sunday as opposed to tomorrow and on Saturday. But before I get into that, a couple of things. Now, you guys know with my hoodies, and proceeds of these hoodie sales go to Feeding Tampa Bay, Children's Miracle Network, Suncoast Animal League, Sunshine Foundation, lots of local charities. And you can find the links to the sweatshirts and the hoodies and everything else. We got T-shirts, we got tanks, we got water bottles, we got tumblers, we got candles, we got everything. All those proceeds benefit those charities. And if you go to the top of my Facebook page, you will see the link to get to these locations. Do not go to the Teespring link. It's not there anymore. Teespring is a bunch of scammers. They're not out of business yet, but they're still out there, and they're not delivering product, and they're taking people's money, and a bunch of scammers. They didn't used to be that way. They used to be amazing. They were great. I used them for a couple of years. But in the last year, they have been just scammers, just horrible. So do not use the Teespring site. Use the Fourth Wall site. It's one that's it's way, way better. But I digress. So I have purchased a USF hoodie, a UF hoodie, an FSU hoodie, a UCF hoodie, a Bucks hoodie, a Rays hoodie, and a Lightning hoodie, which also works as a Penn State hoodie. And I couldn't decide which one to wear for the show. If we were on TV, I actually was going to change during the commercial breaks. Each break I was going to change. I was going to have a Gator one, a Noah one, and a Penn State one. Three, and maybe even UCF. So I would have had all four up in each segment on TV. But since we're not on TV, there are no breaks, so we're straight through. So I didn't take the Gator. I didn't use the Gators because I didn't want to tick off Knowles. And I didn't wear Knowles because I didn't want to tick off Gators, because I had to pick one. So I chose my alma mater, which was Penn State. The Gators, I don't know who the Gators play tomorrow. I know FSU is playing Bama. I know Penn State is playing Nevada. Let's see, who are the Gators playing? I know they have a game. It's probably a pretty lame team because usually on the home opener, yeah, they're playing LIU. They're playing the really? Are they actually playing the LIU Sharks? Is that really a Division I football team? I would say it's probably not. What is LIU? It's not Liberty. I'm actually thrown. I have to find out who LIU actually is, because that's really comical. They should win by 70 points. If that's really who they're playing, LIU. Long Island University. So the Gators are playing Long Island University. Let's look at the odds of that game. My guess is UF is at 2004 favorite, 2004-point favorite. I've not looked. Realistically, I bet they're a 57-point favorite. All right, let's look. UF football odds. I'm very curious, because who the heck is Long Island University? Are they even D1? I don't know. I'm looking for the odds here. Stand by. We're going to get to weather in a second, I promise, but I really do. I got to look at the odds here. So I said 57. $45 and a half. Matter of fact, the over-under is 57. So the total points scored expected are 57, 58. The Gators are a 45.5-point favorite. That's lower than I even thought they would be, honestly. So, hey, maybe Long Island's pretty good. Matter of fact, that's exactly what the line Penn State, Nevada is. Penn State, Nevada is 44-45. I will be honest, that is a little high, I would think, to me. I think Nevada could easily cover that spread, but we will see. Where are we? Okay. All right. So where is Long Island University? Well, I mean, I'm sure it's in Long Island. I don't know where in Long Island. Yeah, Jim says 45 and a half. Yeah, 45 and a half. I'm literally surprised it's not 63 or 64. That makes me think that Long Island might be the right side. because we all know all those pretty lights and those big buildings in Las Vegas don't get there from people winning. So if the average Joe like me would say, oh my heavens, the Gators aren't more than a 45-point favorite, they're not like a 70-point favorite, and they're only 45, that could be Vegas trying to coerce you, tempt you into taking the Gators. And don't tell me, and trust me, I know because I have experience with this stuff, don't tell me that there aren't lines that look too good to be true, because almost always when they are too good to be true, and you're going to lose. So just because of that, I would say Long Island plus the points is the right pick, just because I think that line should be a lot higher. Penn State, 44-45 over Nevada. That is an interesting line. Penn State doesn't normally blow teams out, but this year they're number 2 in the country, and their quarterback may want to make a statement, so maybe they win that game 61-7. So maybe they do cover that game. I don't have an opinion. The FSU-Alabama game. Now that is an interesting game. That is, let me tell you, anybody who's going to that game, first of all, it might rain, so that's another issue up there. But boy, what a huge game, because the Noles were so terrible last year. And imagine if they were to open up this season with an upset victory over Alabama. I'm not saying they will, but if they were, that could be the kind of game that could really, really, could catapult them to a good season. So anyway, all right, so Terry's talking about, all right, so we talked about football. Look, it's a Friday night. There's high school football. College football starts this weekend. It's an exciting time. And, of course, fantasy football drafts. Many of them are this weekend. I have 2 on Sunday. I've got another one on Tuesday, 2 more actually on Tuesday. And the season starts next Thursday. So exciting times, right? All right, let's talk about some weather. So we've had some rain across our inland spots. Those are moving away. Eastern Highlands County picking up some pretty decent rain right now as it is moving off to the east. So anyway, as I said, Ryan made my cake, Sandy. My daughter Ryan made the hurricane cake, because we all know, Bill says, I can't wait for football to end. So anyway, so we all know those hurricane cakes are not available at Publix. This has been talked about a lot of late. If you go to Florida Memes, pretty much every post that they have is about Publix cakes and the signatures that they've been gathering, trying to get Publix to bring back hurricane cakes. I think last check they had 40,000 signatures. They're shooting for 50. What's interesting is that Publix has not responded, at least not that I have seen. Now, I will tell you that I do know there's a little inside something going on here, just between you and I. Don't tell anybody, okay? So, don't tell anybody. So, I received a corporate email from Publix sent to Publix employees, and they noted that there was high social media traction from OMG It's Wix and me on Publix hurricane cakes. It's a true story. That email went out within Publix corporate a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And it did. It actually was saying, so this has high social, it didn't make a comment or anything else. It just said, what are some of the hot interactions regarding Publix? And it was high followed Dennis Phillips and high followed OMG It's Wix have mentioned about Publix hurricane cakes. Now, I didn't have an opinion on it. I just shared the fact that Florida Memes it's been funny, and it's been funny. It caught a lot of people's attentions. OMG It's Wix has been big on trying to bring back the hurricane cakes. And I just got a message from him today, Josh, OMG It's Wix, he said he did receive his FSU Knoll Rule Number 7 hoodie. So he is in the process of thinking how he can use a Rule Number 7 hoodie in one of his bits. So that is going to be fun. Okay, so let us go and let's talk. Let's talk about when the rain's coming, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this full. And yeah, I've not heard whether they're going to do them again or not. Publix has been radio silent on if they're if they're going to do anything with the cakes. Yeah, his name is Josh, Mike. So anyway, there's a look at radar. All right, everything's moving off to the east, west to east. Now, this west to east flow, he is doing a comedy show in Tampa, and he sold out. Yeah, Arnold, Anna Maria, correct. He did. He mentioned it today that he sold out. Don't know if he's going to add any shows or not, but yeah, the Tampa shows are sold out. All right, so temperatures right now in the mid-80s. Today was pretty much a classic, just a classic, typical late summer day for the Bay Area. Yeah, you guys. Hey, Jules, what's up? Oh, where were you? Jules, you were out of town? I did not know that. So anyway, today we hit the low to mid 90s, which is exactly where we're supposed to be this time of the year, and hit the upper 80s along the coast. Outside right now, nice sunset there. Tampa, 86 degrees and partly cloudy. Dew point in the lower 70s with, it feels like, of 91. Looking out over Ray J, where it was very celebratory last night after USF pounded Boise State. Oh, you were in Denver. Well, I mean, Mary, I don't know why, but I'm assuming, I'm assuming the reason they're not going to bring them back, if that is the case, is just because somebody wants guac. Good call. All right, so yeah, I did not see that comment, but I will see that. I will mention that. Charlotte, thank you. Charlotte says somebody wants guac. Look, if you are here for this just looking for weather, then you're in the wrong place. So I'm not going to ban you because that's not rude. I did not see the comment. But at the end of the day, Alyssa, how you doing? Good to see you. This is an interactive show where we talk about what's happening out there, and clearly college football is a big thing this weekend, as is the NFL, and we kind of get to things as we get to things, especially when we're not on broadcast TV. When we're on broadcast TV, we have certain segments that we have to get to. And the guac comment is, look, if I went to your house and you had salsa and chips on your coffee table, and I looked at you and said, hey, where's the guac? Would you do that? Would you go into someone's house and say, as opposed to appreciating having the chips and salsa, or would you be rude and say, where's the guac? I don't think you would. If you would, well, you're rude. And this show is the same way. Promise you we get to stuff as we get to stuff. But going on there and saying, I don't want to talk about college football, see ya. Not interested, all right? We do things as we do things our way. And it's kind of the way that we've been doing this show for about 20 years now. So either join in the festivities or don't. That's fine too. But just don't be rude about it. All right? So there you go. So how you doing, Corinne? Nice to see you. All right. So yes, we are, Gary. Oh, yes, we are. Yeah, tomorrow is Lee Corso's last show. Lee Corso is a college football coach. He had a stroke several years ago, and it's been a bigger challenge for him to continue the game day show on ESPN. But he has done his best, and people still love him. And I do believe that last one is tomorrow is the last time he's going to be on there. Kathy wants to know if I will be at Gecko Fest tomorrow. I will be. So I will be at Gecko Fest from noon to 5:30 tomorrow. LSG, Lawrence St. Germain, will be there from 2:30 to 5:30, I think. Wendy and Paul will be there from 5:30 to 8:30. So we will not be overlapping. Wendy comes after I do. I will be with Sean Daly and LSG from 2:30 to 5. Allie, our meteorologist, Allie Blake, will be with me from noon to 12:30, as will Casey, our Pinellas County reporter. Casey Albrighton will be there as well. So it's me, Allie, and Casey from noon to 2:30. And it's me, Sean, and LSG, which will be a fun group, from 2:30 to 5:30-ish. Again, Wendy, Paul, and somebody else is with them from 5:30 to 8:30. I can't remember who. But that's at Gecko Fest in Gulfport all day tomorrow. All day tomorrow. So that is what's going on tomorrow. So come over and say hi. if you're looking for something fun to do. It's got like food and music and art, and it's a festival. It's like a lot of festivals. So yeah, it'd be fun, and it is in Gulfport. All right, so today, pretty much a typical day for this time of the year. I don't normally get to the Rowdies games, Rick. I don't. Who is my pick for the Texas OSU game? Okay, well, being a Penn State grad, I'm biased against Ohio State because they own us, and they've owned us for quite a while. So I'll probably go Texas. And not to mention, Ohio State has a new quarterback. I mean, so does Texas. Manning's their new quarterback. But I don't know. I don't know if Greg will be there or not, Laura. He might be. You know what? I'm sure he will be. I just don't have the list handy. He's not there when I'm there. Maybe he's there in the morning. Can you bring your gecko? I don't know if geckos are allowed at Gecko Fest. I don't know. So let's continue into the weekend weather. So there's a look at the satellite picture. All right, here is Futurecast. All right, here is Futurecast. Tonight, we will continue to see those inland eastern Polk Highlands County showers. Don't know if Greg will bring the headband, Sean. He might. He might. All right, Andrea, well, come on over. I will be there. I will absolutely be there. So they do rule number 7 cakes, Bridget. I did not know that. I mean, they'll usually make stuff that you ask them to. I guess it won't be a hurricane cake. They have drawn a line in the sand, and at least for the time being, they are not crossing it. So, you can bring a gecko as long as it's on a leash. Okay, so that's what Karen says. All right, so there's a look at Futurecast tomorrow morning. Saturday will be a day where there will be more rain than we had today, but still not very much. Isolated stuff, all right? So let's go hour by hour here, all right? There's 8 o'clock, there's 9 o'clock, there's 10 o'clock, there's 11 o'clock, there's 12 o'clock, lunchtime, still very isolated. Most areas will not see rain. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. See, scattered, isolated to scattered Saturday afternoon. Everything will move west to east, and that pattern's going to continue for the next week as we're still very trophy on the eastern third of the U.S. The models are showing maybe a few showers on Saturday evening coming from the Gulf. I'm not sold on that solution. Typically, the rains arrive after 4 a.m. Sunday, in my opinion, is the day where we're going to have our best chance of rain starting in the morning. Rule number 7 is don't freak out unless I'm freaking out, Lisa. Don't freak out unless I'm freaking out. We're fine. That is rule number 7. So there's a look at Sunday morning, and I think we're going to see some storms roll in Sunday morning, much like we did last weekend. So I think Sunday is the day we're going to be cloudy much of the day, at least the first half of the day, with rain along the coast, and then it pushes inland later on in the afternoon, and maybe even some clearing in the afternoon. But the way I see it right now, Saturday, isolated stuff. Again, there's Saturday morning, lunchtime, isolated stuff. I'm not sold on that stuff coming in the evening. I'm really not. Check out Jason tomorrow. But I do believe Sunday morning we have a very good chance of rain. So Sunday will be the day least beach-like. Monday, not as bad as Sunday. Still some scattered storms. More clouds. That means temperatures at or below average starting on Sunday. There is the area in the tropics that we are watching. I'm telling you, for streamers, we'll make it quick because streamers are gone shortly. But at the end of the day, when you look at the forecast with the models for that area, big trough on the East Coast should dramatically turn anything east of the U.S. You get a trough on the East Coast, and that's what we're going to have. You are not going to have a hurricane come in. You just won't. It'll steer it well to the east. And that is my forecast for the tropics. Now, we're going to continue and get more in-depth on Facebook now, but for streamers, have a great night and a great weekend, and Jason is in on Monday for DPL. Okay, so now let's jump on back. So, yeah, I don't know what that alert is. I'm hearing the same thing, Anna Maria. Not sure. Yeah, it sounded to me like almost like an Amber Alert kind of thing. So I'm not really sure what that is. All right, so anyway, there's a look at, from the NHC, 8 o'clock advisory. I guess they have not changed it. Let me look, because this would have changed automatically if they had. I can't believe the Gators are playing Long Island University. That's not D1. There's no way they're D1. NHC. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and call this one up, and we'll look at some of the models, shall we? New one comes up, still 0 and 30 as of 8 o'clock. Okay, so no changes there. All right, let's look at some models. There's a look at the European for the next 14 days. What do you see here? You see two things. You see a boundary right here. That is the front that I talked about. That's that trough. So anything that comes in from here, which is our yellow area, is going to go zoop, like that. More than likely. Look, you never say never. I mean, it's 10 days out, 2 weeks out. Things will change, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But my early indication, as is the models, are that trough is going to be there, and that will cause it to go zoop, or zoop, or zoop. And none of them are going into the Gulf or the Caribbean. None. None. All right? So you ask then, what is this, Dennis? All right, that is a good question. What is that? When you get a stalled out front, cold front, or stationary front, drawing that by hand. All right, so you get a stalled out front. Very often you can get weak low pressure developing along that front. All right? So is that low pressure, if it does develop, is it going to develop here? Or is it going to develop here? Or is it going to develop here? Or is it going to develop here? So it's pretty obvious some of the models develop it here, some of them develop them here, some develop them here and here. Why do we know that? Because if it was all east of Florida, these little lines here wouldn't exist. But the bottom line, whatever this is, this would be a rainmaker, and that is it. So no concerns from the Euro out of potential development there. And everything from out here, from the little wave out here, or anything else that comes off, goes zoop, just like that, because it runs into the trough, the front. That's the Euro. Let's look at the Euro AI, see what it shows us. I declare it looks exactly the same, doesn't it? And what else do we see? I said I declare. What else do we see in the Caribbean? Bunch of nothing. What do we see in the Gulf over the next 2 weeks? This takes us through mid-September. What do we see in the Gulf? Bunch of nothing. Do we see a stalled out front? Yes, we do. Do we see little areas that could develop along that front? Yes, we do. Do we see waves out in the Atlantic running into that trough and going zoop? Yes, we do. So the Euro AI and the Euro show the exact same thing, and in my opinion, that is exactly what is going to happen. Is exactly what's going to happen. Oh, so Mark, thank you for that update. LIU's athletic program were unified into a D1 school in 2019. Now, Mark, I will ask you, is that D1 basketball or D1 football? Because sometimes you do have teams that are D1 in basketball, but not in football. So I'm curious about that. Thank you for doing that legwork. Thank you for doing that legwork. That's awesome. So that is the European. Now let's look at the GFS-Acane. Because the GFS-Acane model, we all know the GFS-Acane has a tendency to, where's the GFS-Acane? Here it is. The GFS-Acane quite often will take something and make it far more active than it really is. We know that about the geophysical. So let us go out 15 days in the geophysical. And what does it show? Identical. Identical. This takes us through September 13th, folks. Look at that. September 13th. And where's that dude who said I wasn't doing weather? We have done so much weather now. We have done so much weather. Anyway, all right, so what are we looking at here? All right, we are looking at the Caribbean quiet with the geophysical. We are looking at the Gulf quiet with the geophysical. We are looking at a stalled out front. There it is. Maybe development, one of these spots. But even if it does, a rainmaker. And with that front there, what do we see? Zoop. There it goes again. Runs right into that trough and zoop, goes right off to the north-northeast. So, the geophysical, you're exactly, and so much weather. So much weather. Here, so so this is what I'm doing right now. So I'm up here with my foot up here with my socks on, and I'm just kind of looking at this stuff over here, just kind of chilling. Because we are quiet. Q word inactivated. No, activated. Q word enacted. Because we are quiet. And I may not post the word quiet, although you know I'm going to because I like to stir the pot. But I posted today. I wasn't going to post quiet, but I'm going to because I'm a pot stirrer. Point is, Euro AI, geophysical, all develop nothing over the next 2 weeks. All right, I take that back. There may be development in the Eastern Atlantic, but it's going to run zoop into that trough. You may see development along that stalled out front, but it's going to stay weak and go northeast as a rainmaker. Nothing in the Caribbean here. I'll take this full again because you don't need to see me. I want to know when the Gators played LIU as well. Sean's like, all right, show it. All right, Sean. I know what Sean wants to see. Sean wants to see the 540 line. That's what Sean wants to see. So we've gone through each of these maps. All right, so we're there. All right, okay, so here, this I've already shown you. This is updated on Tuesdays. But there's the development over the next week, and then the week of September 10th to the 16th, you got another area development. However, and the GFS only goes out, the GFS, the Euro, and the Euro AI are only going out. Hi from SRQ. How you doing, Susan in Sarasota? So look at what we start to see September 10th through the 16th. I'm going to circle this a lot. Why am I circling this so many times? Okay? Because as you've heard me saying now for the last couple of weeks, mid-September through October, we are going to start to see changes. And those changes partially come from a developing La Nina. Look at all the weather we're doing here. I mean, come on. Where is that guy? I want to know who the guy is. I want to know who the guy is who said, oh, where do we get to weather? Where is he? I'm scrolling up, but I don't see him. Your comments make me laugh. All right, you always do. You guys never fail me. So when we are in a La Nina, which we are, we've gone from neutral to La Nina. Look, what is La Nina? All right, we'll tell you. La Nina is when you have cooler water off the coast of South America, off of Argentina. And that cooler water in the Pacific creates fewer hurricanes due to stronger vertical wind shear. It is the opposite of El Nino. Opposite of El Nino. But unfortunately, And look at where this yellow is located in the Caribbean. Is that coincidental? I think not. I think they put it there for a reason. So when you are in a neutral / La Nina, my decorations are already going up, Red, inside, but outside, I'm not doing it till October 1st. Because I will tell you that in my opinion, and there is no science in this whatsoever, other than, that's not true. I can't say there's no science, but, okay. So I did have 1 foot up, now I have 2 feet up. So it's Friday, we're just like chilling, right? So, for a while now, we've been saying the second half of September and all of October are going to be active, all right? There's nothing unusual about that. It's the peak of the season. I'm not going out on any kind of a limb on that. However, we have seen nothing in the Caribbean. Nothing in the Caribbean. Nothing. And very little in the Gulf, all right? In spite of the fact that the Euro AI wanted to develop over and over and over again a stalled out front, crossover low, turning it into a depression or a storm, never happened. But now that we are in La Nina and expecting it to be a little more significant into October, you will see more hurricanes due to weaker vertical wind shear and trade winds and less atmospheric stability. So, in the Caribbean, you would expect to start to see more development second half of September and into October. Okay? So, when you look at the month of September, you've seen me use this map a lot. So much weather right now. You see where the development is, offshore, right? But you still have development here and development here. And in October, it's even more. October, here, let me call up this map over here. Stand by. Stand by. Let me call up this other map for you. I know you've seen it, but since you do have some people here who have never been here before, including the guy who's like, hey, what about weather? I don't want to talk about college football. Okay. We will talk about college football because I love college football. College football is my favorite sport. I am going to say flat out, college football is my favorite sport. So I will be talking about it often. All right, that is September, but look at October. All right, so here's September. Look at October. Oh, what happens there? You get development in the Western Caribbean and in the Gulf. Zoop, right there. And look where it goes. That's climatologically in the month of October, that's what happens. So, my friends, when we are weather is our favorite sport. So, Sean, I still got to show you your 540 line, but hang on there because we're doing weather. All right, so when we are talking about a developing and strengthening La Nina, check. A favorable MJO, which I'm not even getting into, toward the end of September, check. Oh, you're on the wrong map. Stand by. You missed my checks. That's unfortunate. All right, let's go back and look at checks. When we are in a developing La Nina to the end of September, check. When we are in the month of October, when historically and climatologically you are in a period where you often see development, check. And you have the actual modeling showing potential development starting in mid-September. Check. That just means that you are going to likely see hurricanes in the Caribbean or in the Gulf late September into October. That is what I think is going to happen. So that is the answer as to why I'm not going to put up my Halloween decorations yet, because I think there will be threats from the Caribbean in the Gulf. Now, you notice the week of September 10th, the 16th. Potential development here. Now, this is interesting, because if you remember last week, we are doing so much weather. I don't even know what to say. So much weather. So remember what the models were showing, and they're still showing it. Look at the little squiggly lines down here a little bit. A little something squiggly lines, right? All right, that is the and maybe right here in the Bay of Campeche, right? So maybe a little something develops here. Now, do we care about anything developing down here and going into here? Well, we should, because that's exactly what happened with Milton last year. Remember, Milton was a little system down here and went like this, and then went like this, and we all know what happened once it went right there. So we do care when we see any kind of potential development in this general area. Models aren't really showing much of it, but it's worth looking at. But what we also care about, again, look at the time frame, mid-September. When you see the area here, and this is just guesswork, this is a greater than 40% chance of development, according to this map, that week. Look at where this is. This is no longer in an area up here where it's going to go zoop. This is an area where it would go like this before going zoop. And this zoop could be bad because it could make it into the Gulf. So, in summation, so much weather. In summation, we are good to go through the middle of September. And that is a bold. You ever see the movie True Grit? And John Wayne, he said, that's bold talk for a one-eyed fat man. I don't know who said it, but I'm pretty sure that quote is from True Grit. So that's bold talk for a one-eyed fat man, that I'm going to sit here and say that I see no threats to the U.S. through mid-September. That would be foolhardy. I can't quite go that far out, but I'm telling you, exactly right, Christy, so much weather. I'm telling you, as long as we have this setup with a trough digging down, these storms are going to go zoop, and they're going to go right away from the U.S. But once we hit mid-September, then things will start to change. And I think October is going to be something very, very different. Lynn wants to know if it's going to be a repeat of last year. I cannot answer that, Lynn. But I will tell you this. It is not impossible. It was True Grit? All right, thank you, Beth. I wasn't sure. So I never saw that movie in its entirety, but a buddy of mine who I used to work with in Salisbury, Maryland, his name was Bruce Vail. Bruce Vail did the sports, and he was a huge fan of True Grit. And he used to always have that quote. We would play poker. So we would have Friday night poker games, and there would be trash talking, as there often is when you're playing poker games with your buddies. And his response to some kind of trash talk would be, that's bold talk for a one-eyed fat man. And again, pretty sure that was from True Grit, but I wasn't sure. So thanks for letting me know that. All right, so let's go back. So we're not done because I have not quite finished showing Sean what he wanted to see, which was the 540 line. Don said, fiance said it's from True Grit. I'm pretty sure it was. How does the weather look 9/7 in D.C.? All right, Charlotte, I will look at that. You know what? I will look at that. Is tomorrow a good day for your boat? Emily, I think it'll be okay for your boat. I do think tomorrow evening we start getting some stuff, but Sunday is not going to be a good day. We already went over that with the Futurecast. But let us look right now at the tropics. So these are the operational runs. Here's the and we have not shown these yet. Here's the GFS-icane, which we all know the GFS likes to spin up hurricanes out of nowhere. And what does the GFS-icane show? Nothing. Nothing through September 14th. Why? Because you got a big old trough out here. Big old trough. All right, let's look at the Euro AI. See what it shows. Hey, look at that. It does show something developing along that front. Look at this. Remember, you got that stalled out front, and look, you got a little low pressure right there. So you got that forming out in the North Atlantic, so no biggie. What else does it show? What does it show? Show me what it shows. Shows a bunch of nothing. Nothing. Nothing through September 13th. Zero development anywhere. Yes, it was a big weather show, Dan. That is correct. Big weather. Molly attended Salisbury State. I worked in Molly, I worked at WBOC. That was my first TV job. I know, Sean, I know. I'm about to mention it, but I looked over and saw Molly's comment that she went to Salisbury State. Now Salisbury is university, but it was Salisbury State back in the day. That is correct. I was a mere pup. I was like 3 years old, and I was working in Salisbury at WBOC in 1986 when I was 3 years old. That's my first TV job. I was a child prodigy, and I was the first weather person on TV at 3 years old when I was in 1986. Because otherwise, if I was really working in 1986, I would be ridiculously old right now, and that would make me very depressed. So instead, I'm just going to stick with I was a child prodigy at 3-story, and I was working in 1986 when I was 3 years old. I'm sticking to that. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But more importantly, so yes, I was in Salisbury. So young. I mean, I was the worst weather person in the history of television back in those days. It's a true story. I know I've told you this story before, but I would stand there and I would hold the microphone like this, because I was a reporter as well as the chief meteorologist. And I was holding the mic so tight, my knuckles were all white from holding the microphone when I was doing my stand-ups. It's terrible. And I know I've told you this story. So when I stood at the green wall, you know, the green wall, I never moved this right arm. I only moved the left arm when I pointed at things. I don't know why, but I never did. It was nerves or something. I just went like this. So, Molly, you will remember this. You remember the Giant grocery store, literally right across from Salisbury State? There was a Giant grocery store. Not a giant grocery store. The name was Giant. Molly, I know you'll remember this. Tell me if you do. So there was a Giant store there, and this nice little old lady, and I was maybe 21, 22, I guess, and this lady walked up to me, and she goes, "I think it's so amazing someone with your disabilities actually gets to be on TV and do the weather." And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't remember what I said. She's like, "Well, isn't your arm prosthetic? Because you never move your right arm." And I'm like, "No, I can move my right arm. I'm moving it." But I never moved it on TV because I was so nervous. So, true story. So, yeah. So that was, and then, you know, I started talking more with my hands, and now I'm always talking with my hands. But yeah, I was so nervous that I'd be like this, and I would never move this right arm, and she thought it was a fake arm. So there you go. And that was at that Giant grocery store, Molly, and I bet you remember that Giant, because it was literally right next to Salisbury State. Okay. So, oh yeah, go down the ocean, hun. Yeah, that is Maryland talk. Oh yes, it is. So, all right, so let's go back to what Sean was ecstatic about. Look at what's showing up here. Right there, that is Sean's 540 line. Granted, it's in Canada, but it's there. So there is Sean's 540 line. That's the rain snow line, the freezing line for folks who aren't following. Actually, it is 534 and 528 and 522. That's cold because there's low pressure up there and it's bringing in some cold. So Scott wants to know if it's going to rain. Yes, it is going to rain on Sunday, Scott. It is going to rain on Sunday. Monday, less, I think. But Sunday, definitely. I'm very confident in rain. Okay, so there's your 540 line. But the point was, there's the Euro AI, nothing, showing nothing, all right? Let's look at the Euro operational run, okay? You still got that little development off the coast, off that stalled out front, right? And even a little low pressure right there, see? Remember what we were talking about? Stalled out front right here. Could see weak low pressure developing along it. And the Euro shows that. And by the way, that's where I think it would develop. Some of the runs were developing out here. I would be inclined to think it's going to develop east of Florida if it does. But there it is, briefly showing that, okay? So much weather. All right, so there is Sunday up, and there, see, and it's still trying to, oh, look at that. Still trying to show a little something, but just a rainmaker. But the Euro is at least bringing the possibility that could happen. No, I wasn't saying Salisbury Steak. I was saying Salisbury State University. Now it's Salisbury State University. It used to be Salisbury State College. But at some point in time, yeah, I have my fantasy football draft on Sunday. That is correct, Scott. Yes. Yeah, that's right. I'm so not ready. I have no idea. That league, the 4 o'clock one that I'm in, I don't even know what the parameters are. I don't know if it's PPR. I know nothing. I literally know, because Todd Wright runs that one, and he's kind of old school. So you don't use computers. You write it up on the board, all that kind of stuff. I have no idea what format that is. I don't know if there's a defense. I don't know if there's a kicker. I have no idea how many people are any of it. I got to figure that out before I get over there. Anyway, I digress. But I'm talking college football. Anybody who's here saying I don't want to talk about college football, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Look at those little lows. Look at them all there. Look at the way the Euro. Look at this. Here's Sunday. There's one. There, and then maybe backtrack. And then maybe goes up. And then maybe backtracks. And there's another one. Look at that. So the Euro is somewhat bullish on weak low pressure developing along that stalled out front, but doesn't really do much with it. Certainly not anything noteworthy other than a rainmaker. But more importantly, look at the development of tropical storms or hurricanes. Now, the Euro is actually a little more bullish with this wave right here, but you got a trough there, so inevitably what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's going to go zoop and go like that, right? But the Euro operational run is actually, of all the models, is a little more bullish on potential development, but still no threat. But there it is. So yeah. So watch. Look at Africa. So look down here. Look at the bottom down here. That's Sunday. Watch that little wave. Just watch it. It's kind of going slowly. Doop, 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 doop. Just kind of taking its time. Still kind of going slow. North of the islands. Then it starts to get a little circulation, maybe. And then it starts to develop. And it already starts to curve up there. So the same thing with the Euro. Check. So this takes us to the middle of September. But from the middle of September on, I think it's going to get real active. I just do. So we will see. Let's call up the U.S. and look for the 540 line for Sean. If it ever makes it anywhere close to the U.S. Okay, here we go. So we're looking for the 540 line for Sean. There it is. There it is, right? So it makes it to Minnesota. See the blue line right there? There's your 540 line. So at least you see a 540 line. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, that's wrong one. Wrong. That's it. So there it is. There's your, who am I banning? Who am I banning? You know what? That is a tough game, Scott. I will be honest. I'm not a fan of either. So I don't know what to say. Wait a minute. Who am I banning? Let me look. I'm scrolling up here. You guys are all saying ban this Paul guy, but I got to figure out why. Because I see he. Oh, there it is. Oh, but it got away. Oh, it just went away. I can't ban him. Yep, I can't do it because it went up past the top of, I scrolled past and it isn't there. I can't see it. So, sorry, can't do it. I'm going to have to wait until he does it again. So, Paul, you have been officially warned. No spamming. So, if you want to get banned, then go ahead and spam again. But otherwise, I didn't hear you yelling at the screen. I know, Terry. FSU Bama, that is quite a big first game. That is a very big first game, and I'm actually kind of excited about that. I hope FSU shows up. I do. My son graduated too slow. Well, I was over here doing weather. Anna Maria. So I'm over like this. So that the comments are way over here, right? All right. This is what I'm doing. I'm over here doing this computer over here. Right. Here, I'll show you. This is what I was doing. Okay. I'm over here taking these computers and taking this stuff and doing this and making checks and doing zoops and stuff, right? I'm doing all that. All the whole time, your computer with your comments are easily 5 feet away from me. And I can't see that. There ain't no way I can see any of that. And I'm not looking that way anyway because I'm looking here. I'll show you. Hold on. Stand by. Okay. So I'm looking right here, right? And your comments are all the way over here in a little bitty print. Wasn't going to happen. So I couldn't see it. Is he still posting now? Oh, so Bridget linked to his name. So did Cassie. You guys are brutal. You know, sometimes I give people the benefit of the doubt, but you guys don't. You guys are absolutely out for blood. You guys are brutal. You guys actually sent me. Oh, yeah, Clemson LSU, that should be a shootout. You guys, seriously, you guys take no prisoners. You guys send me, all right, fine. I'm here for you. Block, ban. He's gone. Sorry, Paul. I was gonna cut you some slack, but they wouldn't let me. So you know what? There it is. Okay. How do I get back to my page? Paul doesn't look like a bad guy either. You know, he just looks like a dude. Wait a minute. How do I get this full screen now? Clicking. There we go. Okay. All right. So there it is. Do you guys have any more questions? Because we've covered an hour now with no TV. The show is a totally different tone when it's not on TV. You know this. Because there's more tomfoolery and more shenanigans. Okay. So let's see. Jason, you're right. You are correct. Wondering if your Bahamas trip next weekend will be a washout. I do not think so, Lisa. I think you will be okay. All right. Yes, he is, Arnold, and it's sold out. His comedy show is sold out. Wait a minute. There we go. Severe weather weekend? No. No severe weather, Corey. Northern Maryland, end of September. Sean, I can't answer that. That's way too far. Now, Terry, I don't know. That's being kind of presumptuous on your part for how I would respond. You know, that's a little bit presumptuous, Terry. I have my viewers' backs. I'm just saying, kind of presumptuous. I mean, let's be honest. All it was just it was spam. It wasn't, let's be totally honest. Paul is not really Paul. That was not Paul. That was a bot or somebody else who's trying to get you to click on something so they can steal your information. That's what they're doing. That was not really Paul. I would bet my bottom dollar whoever's on there was not Paul. That was some nefarious person or a computer. And I'm all but positive that that is the case of that. So, yeah. So that's not Paul. Paul's probably a good guy. Probably just, you know what? Paul probably just got hacked. Realistically, that's exactly what happened. Paul got hacked, and those people want you to click on their names. That is 100% what happened. Okay. But yes, I will ban spammers, Bridget. You are correct. Sean says, I thought you were all in a long journey. Look, that's a good point. I am all in on pattern changes for the tropics from mid-September on. But whether they'll be cool in Maryland at the end of September, I can't. I don't know. I can't answer that. I cannot answer that. Michelle from Massachusetts in the house. Now, wait a minute. I quoted Annie? What did I say? Bridget, what did I say? How am I quoting Annie? I'm not saying I didn't, because I'm sure I did, but I don't. Oh, did I tell you guys? Oh, bet your bottom dollar. Ah, okay. All right. And Dora, don't know. 28th is too far out. So here's what we got. Here, let's do it. Let's go over our functions and our meet and greets and whatnot over the next month. So tomorrow, Gecko Fest. Most ABC people will be there tomorrow. I don't know who isn't, but I think most people are. Here, I can give you the schedule, actually. Let me look. Stand by. If it was an El Nino year, we wouldn't get anything in the Caribbean, Lee, because El Nino years are very, usually you don't get Caribbean development from the El Nino years, but La Nina years you do. Let's see. Where is the schedule for Gecko Fest? I know it's on my email somewhere. Well, anyway, I will look for it. I'm not seeing it, but yeah, I'm not seeing it. But I know Shay is there from like 2:30 to 5:30. I'm assuming Greg is in the morning. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure he is. I can't find that email. I know I had an email at some point. Anyway, I digress. So next weekend, I'm emceeing a function in Orlando for the Sunshine Foundation. It's their gala, and it's a fundraiser, and it's a great event. And I co-host with Jessica Reyes, who is a big radio person in Orlando and in Tampa and in Fort Myers. And she actually used to do weather for, was it called the Daily Buzz? Is that what it was called? I think that's what it was. But she's awesome, very funny. So I'm co-hosting that event with her next Saturday. The following Saturday, the Bradenton Performing Arts Center. Oh, no, the Manatee County Performing Arts Center in Bradenton. They're doing a musical, a play. It's called, I think it's called Gutenberg. And it's a Broadway play, and I think I'm going to be involved in that in some way, shape, or form. Pretty sure I am, but I don't know any details yet. Week after that, I'm going to be doing some hurricane seminars at the Orlando Home Show. So I'll be hosting 2 hurricane seminars on Saturday, September 20th, maybe? Let me look. Yeah. Saturday, September 20th, I'm going to be hosting 2 hurricane seminars at the Orlando Home Show. And Then coming after that, I can't remember. There's so many things, so much weather. And then we'll just have to see if at the end of September and in October, if the tropics are going to heat up as much as I kind of think they will. So thank you, Lee. So I guess that's it. All right. So you guys have a great, now Jason will be in Monday. Jason's doing DPL on Monday. He'll be fine. He can handle this stuff. And then I'll be back on Tuesday. One other thing I forgot. Wednesday at the Threshers game is the rained out replay, reschedule for Ryan singing the national anthem and me throwing out the first pitch. So it's a double header. So apparently the first game is supposed to end, I don't know what time the first game ends, because you don't really know what time the game's going to end. But apparently the second game is the one that it's going to start around 6:30. So I'm throwing out the first pitch, weather permitting, since last time I got rained out, and Ryan is singing the national anthem on that Wednesday, next Wednesday. So that's what's going on. So for the folks who went and still had tickets and wanted to go, it's not going to be a meet and greet. Truthfully, I hope to make it back here by 7:30 to do a DPL, because I'm supposed to have the editor-in-chief of the Farmer's Almanac on next Wednesday. But if the game starts late, I'm not going to be able to make it back. So I don't know yet for sure if I'm going to be able to do it. But that's the way it's going to play out. So Ryan sings the national anthem on Wednesday. I throw out the first pitch on Wednesday. Around 6:30 is the plan, but it all depends on how long the first game goes. And then if I can throw it out at 6:30 and Ryan can get the song in, then I'm going to run back and try to make it here for 7:30 in time to do the Farmer's Almanac. Bozo Bob made it. So, Bob, you missed it. We were only here for an hour and 10 minutes, so you're just a little bit late, but hey, glad that you made it. Yeah, I need to get Cruise Mike back on. You are exactly right, Mary. We need to get Cruise Mike back on. I'm going to reach out to him. That's a really good point. You know, Cruise Mike was kind of shy. Surprising, because Cruise Mike was eating up the attention on the cruise ship, but when I put him on a Zoom, he seemed a little nervous. He seemed a little shy. I did not expect that. I expected Cruise Mike to be like Bozo Bob, and it just didn't work out that way. So, when will we have an El Nino year? Do not know, Nicole, but I know it's a La Nina right now. It is a La Nina. So, I had Mike on the day we had that tornado in Seminole, and I need to get Mike back on. Good call, Jason. So you guys have a great holiday weekend. Again, Saturday, some scattered showers, not widespread. Sunday could be widespread rain starting in the morning along the coast, moving inland later on. And then Labor Day, probably between the two. So you guys have a great night. Have a safe and great weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday for my next edition of DPL. But Jason Adams will be in on Monday for the next edition of DPL, and that will also be on TV as well. So you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. And maybe see you at Gecko Fest tomorrow. Stop by and say hi. We'll see you.